Hey everybody, I am Haley Gray and I want to welcome you to another amazing WEN Talk. I want to introduce what a WEN Talk is. Each month we have 6 amazing speakers, except for December we have 9, and we do these 20-minute amazing talks. And each of our speakers is an amazing powerhouse in her own right, delivering her own talk and her own specialty and showing off and showcasing to the world what an amazing business owner, person, wonderful, amazing creative being that she is. And today we are about to kick off our February 2023 WEN Talk. I want to introduce Pollyanna Brown and welcome you to the stage, Pollyanna. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage.
Thank you so much for having me. I am overjoyed to be here. And I am so excited to talk about today's topic, which we're going to be talking about how to get publicity in 2023. So for those of you who don't know me, it is so great to meet you. I am Pollyanna Brown. I have been a publicity strategist for quite a long time and a journalist even longer. I've been a journalist for over 11 years, and I have been a storyteller my whole life. So what I want to teach you today is really what publicity is and how it works, how to get it, the things to avoid, as well as the things to look out for, and how to craft a story for yourself that is media worthy and media ready. So the first thing that I want to talk about is really what publicity is. So publicity is not necessarily this name and lights marketing solution. What it really is a fantastic way to generate traffic with outlets who already have your ideal clients ready and waiting for you. They have spent years accumulating trust with their audience. They have spent years developing high-value content that your audience knows that they can trust and implement and work with in order to have a big impact on your ideal clients. So what happens is, when you can get in front of them utilizing these platforms, so some of them are talks like this and live stream shows. You can do podcasts. You can do traditional media, which is more like your Forbes, your Entrepreneur, your Cosmopolitan magazines and publications, features. All those different things are available to you for this kind of work. So that's what I'm talking about with platforms and media outlets. So how it works is when you are on their platform, the audience already trusts the platform. You don't have to convince them that you know what you're doing. So what that does is it takes those touches that we need. And I think the last study said that we need up to 9 to 12 touches, which is different than back in 2015, it was 7 touches. It has increased over time. And what it does is we get to collapse time and space with building trust with our audience, leveraging the influence of the media outlet. So what that allows you to do is get directly in front of your ideal client, almost as if it was an affiliate relationship. And it allows you to share your message, share your story, your genius, that thing that you are so brilliant at, that your people need help with, right there in the place that they trust, leveraging that influence, and then bringing them over to your platform, being part of that community that they trust. And so that's what makes it so powerful. Publicity isn't similar to social media in the way that on social media, you're putting your message out there, hoping that it resonates, hoping that the algorithm allows you to reach the right people. With publicity, you get to target them. You get to go to where they're hanging out, where they're engaged, where they already have that community built, and plug right in. And that is so powerful for your business. So as an example, when I started publishing on Business Insider, I had people in my community that had been with me for years on social media. But when they saw that column go live, they all of a sudden wanted to work with me, whereas before they were on the fence. Or likewise, they wanted to learn from me. How could they do this themselves? And it made a big difference because they could see that not only was I trusted in the community that I'd built, but I was trusted in a community that is far bigger than myself. And that's really what people are looking at. They're looking at, are you trustworthy? Do you know what you're saying? And can I trust what you're saying? So that's what publicity does for you. It gives that immediate trust and influence and allows them to build a relationship with you. And so when we do this, I predominantly focus on written articles. So that's known as contributorship or freelance journalism. That's what I focus on because it's where I see the biggest return. Podcasts are my second favorite thing to do because for most podcasts that I'm on, I will walk away with leads, with clients, all those kinds of things. So if your goal with publicity is to grow your business, podcasts and articles are a great help. Likewise, articles are fantastic because what it allows you to do is demonstrate your expertise, give implementable, valuable help ahead of time, while also showcasing your storytelling skills and allowing people to connect with you. And then what happens is you have a link in your bio on that outlet, and that outlet is SEO generated. So all media outlets are really focused on the right SEO to get the right readers. And so all of that is done for you. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to figure it out, which is great. If you're like me, I'm more creative than techie. And so tech can stress me out sometimes. So knowing that I don't have to worry about this particular element and I'm still reaching millions of people at a time is huge. So that is how I like to do it, focusing on the articles, the written articles, the contributorship, and the podcasts, especially if you are someone who is a great speaker and you love people and you love to connect and you love the interaction. Podcasts are a great way to do that. And similarly, you want to have a link in those show notes that promotes a free gift of some kind, similarly to what you would have in your author bio on a website. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people making with their publicity that I would love to see rectified in 2023 is utilizing their main website URL for their publicity. Now, the reason why we don't do this, and this is one of the things to avoid, is because what happens is people go to your website and there's so much to click through. There are so many options. So what we want to do is we want to send them to an opt-in or a free gift or a landing page of some kind, something that gives them one option to sign up for emails or a gift from you, and then they're part of your community. And then you can send them to your website after that. And that really gives you the power to attract the right people in and also see where they're coming from, which is really nice. So it gives you the power to capture that traffic that is hyper-targeted, that has already begun the trust process with you and is interested in being part of your community. Really high value people for your community. So those are some of the things that are really powerful in 2023 that are only growing. So let's talk a little bit more about what to avoid and what to look for, what works. So now that we know that if you're a writer, contributorship is really great. And if you're a speaker, podcasts are phenomenal. And the main thing to avoid, which is, having the URL be something other than an opt-in. What we want to really look at are how to tell authentic publicity opportunities from inauthentic publicity opportunities. And this is really important. So because you are a business owner, the way that you market matters. There is this thing called the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, and they have regulations. And these regulations are actually laws, but laws sounds really harsh, so we call them regulations. And what we do is these laws and regulations tell us how we're allowed to market. And it's really important because not a lot of business owners know about this. And it also regulates what publicity is and how it works in our businesses. So when we're getting publicity, it is always organic and earned. Paying for any kind of placement puts it in the ad space. And ads are always clearly marked as ads. It's really important for the buyer experience. So when you are on, for example, let's say you get a feature in Forbes. The feature that you get in Forbes is because of your story. It's because you are so powerful, so knowledgeable, so interesting, so something that the outlet goes, you need to be in front of our people, that audience can trust that you've earned that placement. That's what we mean by earned and organic. You don't pay for it. You can't pay for it. It is your story, or the pitch that you pitched was so great that they wanted it for their audience. The reason why that's important is because audience members, readers, will look at that and they will be making buying decisions. So they will reach out to you, right? They are looking at, are you the right person for them? And that's why advertorials are always marked sponsored. So features and written articles, all of those opportunities, same thing with podcasts, they are all organic, earned media. So when we get into the pay-to-play space, this is the ad space. And you have to be careful because not everyone knows these rules who plays in these spaces. The internet is an absolute amazing thing, and I freaking love it because we can start businesses and we can dive in with our genius. But it also means that other people can too. And sometimes they aren't as knowledgeable as they think that they are. And so we have to be careful about how publicity is played with. It's one of the more highly regulated pieces of business. So when you are paying to play, what that means is you are paying an outlet money to be featured or to write for them or to speak to their audience. That always must be marked sponsored, ad, or advertorial. If those things aren't happening, it breaks the FTC regulations because what it does is it takes you in a place of trust and a place of influence. And it takes away the awareness of how you got there because the implication is that it was earned. So when it's paid for, it must be marked so that people know, if I resonate, I understand that this is an ad and it's up to my discretion to reach out, right? So it just makes it more honest. And we're coming into that anyway. And I know we feel this way when we interact with each other online. If it doesn't feel honest, if it doesn't feel authentic, if it doesn't feel right, then it doesn't resonate with us anyway. So all we're talking about is having clear transparency. So when you are looking for a publicity person or to get publicity or to work with an outlet, just make sure that if you are paying to play, that it's properly marked. And there's nothing wrong with paying to play as long as it's properly marked. It's just the ad space, it's not publicity space. But the cool news is in 2023, there is more opportunity for publicity than I've ever seen before. There are more outlets, there are more editors being hired, people are reading at higher levels, and they're also listening at higher levels. There is a big expansion in knowledge and wanting knowledge and craving it. And so there is an endless opportunity for constant content on these platforms. All you have to do is find the right story and the right hook, which is what we're going to get into. So you first want to look for the right outlets. When you know the right outlet, you can generate more business. Now, this doesn't always mean the big outlets. And this is one of the most important pieces of advice that I can give you in this talk. And I'm so glad that you're here to hear it, because when we are looking for publicity, sometimes we think of the big names, the Forbes, the Inc., the Entrepreneur, but sometimes it's the smaller outlets that make the biggest difference. So for example, I wrote 3 articles on an outlet that is very small and still does not have an up-to-date website that looks like it's in the 21st century. It looks a bit out of the 90s, but it was a small niche audience and I had 40 leads, and they are still sending me leads 3 years later. It's that powerful. So I want you to think about what the right outlet is that has the right audience instead of what's the biggest one, what's the most impressive one. Because if our goal is to generate clients, we want to go where they're active. And we want to go to the place where they're seeking that specific knowledge. The other places are totally okay if you just want the feather in that cap, but that's not where we generate a lot of clients from traditionally. So that's the first thing to look for. In order to craft a great story or a great hook, you want to look at the value you can provide, the stories that you have of your own that are really relatable to your audience, the personal stories that you can share. And you want to look for opportunities to give to them. So we call these service pieces. These are pieces that give great advice, they're implementable, and they are high value. And they are top of funnel, which means we are giving advice that they need to have before they come into our community. So what is it that they need to know that they're either thinking about incorrectly, or that they have misinformation about, or that they would need to like a belief system that they would need to overcome to come into your community to learn on a deeper level, to either work with you or just enter your social media content. That's what you need to know. And that's how it flows in. So think about it a little bit more specific to the top of funnel lines, belief systems and knowledge pieces, and build that out for your publicity. Also, personal stories go a really, really long way. So when you are reaching out, you want to look specifically for the editors in the section that you want to pitch. If it's the entire outlet, that's okay. Some outlets are really small and only have one editor, but if they have more than one, you want to look specifically for the editor of the section that you want to appear in. And then if it's podcasts, you can reach out directly to the host unless they have a form to fill out. If they do have a form, fill out that form. They have that process set up for a reason. You want to honor their process that they're asking for. And then for speaking opportunities, same thing. You want to reach out to the event coordinator or the owner of the event. So those are the main ways to reach out with your story that is crafted. I hope that this was helpful. This is exactly what you need to go ahead and get publicity in 2023, what you want to avoid, and how to make the most of the opportunity. And make sure that when you can, that the URL inside of all of your publicity is a dedicated URL. So instead of your website with a backslash, it should be myoptin.com, right? No forward slash or backslash. That way, they're going directly to where you want them to go to. And it's super powerful for you to generate traffic and super powerful for them and easy to remember. So I hope this helped you. Thank you for having me. And it was an absolute joy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm sitting over here like frantically in the background, poking all the buttons. And I want to say thank you for sharing really valuable information, because I think a lot of people don't really realize how earned media, how sponsored posts, how all of that works. And it can be a really like gnarly world to be in. And I would also say cultural norms are not the same across every culture. So sometimes what may be standard in one country is not standard in another. So you need to be well aware of what works in different places too.
Oh, 100%. And it's another thing. I always recommend asking people, do you know what the FTC regulations are for publicity? If they cannot recite them, that is a red flag.
That is a huge red flag. You are totally correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How would somebody go about getting in touch with you?
Check out my milkshake. My milkshake is the best way to get a hold of me, and it has tons of free gifts on there. So that would be the best way. And it has all my social media too. So if you want to just say hi, feel free to say hi. I'm super friendly.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Polly. I appreciate you being here. Everybody, let's give her a huge round of applause. Tell her hi from wherever you're joining from and say thank you so much, Polly. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you for sharing such a valuable topic today.
Thank you so much for having me, Haley. It was an absolute blast. And I love you and I love your people. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And with that, we are going to do the magic switcheroo. And thank you so much, Polly. And welcome to Katherine Kim Mullen. I am so happy to have you here joining us from yet another travel destination. And I cannot wait to hear your topic. And with this, I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Can we hear you?
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cool. I can hear you
Can
loud
you
and
hear
clear.
me?
Awesome. Thank you.
Perfect.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Thank
You're
you.
good to go.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Thanks. So I really want to, before I even get started, want to say, Pollyanna, thank you. You know, when as entrepreneurs and business people, and I've been in business for 34 years. So those are the things we always look at, the ICA, ideal client avatar. Well, I have to tell you, business people, we've just got some great insight here. IPA, ideal publicity avatar. Like, really great stuff. I look forward to listening to it later today. And Haley, always a pleasure. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with you and your community that I feel a big part of. Kareen, my partner, is in here to join, and I've been fortunate enough to join forces with a former editor-in-chief of Chatelaine, and I hope that I'm allowed to say that. In any case, I get a lot of help with making sure the words come out right, especially in writing. Today, what I want to talk and share about really goes hand in hand with publicity, marketing, and everything else. I was fortunate enough to get Haley Gray's book, Fearless Marketing, and covering all of that I wished I got much earlier. And I'll tell you that I realize the part I do, I now know what the value is. And today I want to share just a snippet of information called Life on a 3x5. So what does that mean? Well, it's about being conscious of filling your 3x5 index card. So if you imagine your life and it's the size of a 3x5 index card, we want to make a cake, we pull out a recipe, everything's there, and we follow it. We tweak it a bit, we change it a bit, we adapt, and we end up with a wonderful cake. You know, it all fits on a 3x5. We live our life, which is so important. And more often than not, we don't have a 3x5 rather. It only fits, there's only a certain amount of time and space. So the decisions we make now, they have to be worthy of our time, worthy of us. And we have to focus on us so that we could serve anybody else. So for me today, I really want to show you how to do that with 3 steps. I want to introduce you to 1, live your life by design. How you can do that, number 2. And number 3, love and the importance of it. It's a proper time to talk about it. It's that week, isn't it? The week of love, where we spread it. And there's so much power in it. So let's start with live your life by design. So we've talked about the 3x5 card. So I want you to think about that. We're limited in our life. Why do we want to choose and make decisions and really focus on who we are, who we want to be, even more important. Never mind who we were, and even forget about who you are now. Who do you want to be? And what do you want in the future? What do you want your life to be? You can take a look at what you've done. You can look at what you're doing now. But really what it's all about is, where do you want to step? Where do you want to walk to? And why? And why for you personally? And then why, much bigger, the driving force that you just won't back away from, no matter what obstacle hits your way. So at Sage Navigation, that is the purpose and the reason we exist. And when you think of business, you need to know who you want to be so that today you're actually living that. You need to know before you do branding, before you do marketing, what you want. So often people go out and they'll wonder why there's contradictions. But did they invest the time, like making a recipe? Did they take the time to put everything nice and tight and focused so that they know what they want? So that the person they're working with, whether it's in publicity or marketing or whether they're doing it themselves, they're able to build that to reflect so that somebody else gets them. So I used to call marketing, when I was doing it in guru marketing, I think they'd call it, that would date me and age me, but that's okay. I used to say, you getting you and others seeing you. If you get you, others will see you. You hire experts and they help you get there, but you have to get you. So it starts there. Now, my second point that I wanted to bring up today was how. How does it work? How does it work personally? How does it work in business? It's the same formula. The reason I do some of the things I do today with the people I do them is because I've applied some multi-million-dollar formulas to live in life by design. And what does that look like? Well, what it looks like is you want emotional wealth, especially for business, because it's going to take your heart. So you want to make sure you're strong. You want to make sure in each dimension of life, each area, we call it the pillars of your life, those 5 pillars. Socially, we want to talk about, what does that look like? Your social well-being. You want to have social wealth. What you're giving back to the universe, what you're giving back to your family, what you bring to everybody is so important. And remember the 3x5, right? Social is a part of that card. Now we go to your mental wealth. And I'm not talking about mental health and wellness in the field of psychology. I'm talking about what you're feeding your mind. What books are you reading? What movies are you watching? What music are you listening to? What are you feeding your mind? Mental wealth. What seminars are you going to? Are you investing in you? Because that's what it's about. It's about you getting you so others see you. Now, when we finish with mental, we'll go to physical. Often we'll say physically fit, and we think of our body. But everything, travel, me being in Newfoundland today, and I'm not dressed for business, I'm dressed to go skiing. So I'm looking forward to going to the mountain full of snow. But I do live my life by design, and my pillars are very full, and I live them well. They fit on a 3x5. Physical for me is travel. Physical is the bed I sleep in. Physical is everything I buy, everything I do, everything I eat, like physically. Now, let's go to spiritual. The key in spirituality for me is faith. But faith where? Faith in me. Because if I have faith in me, I know what it's about. I believe in me. I'll be able to believe in you. I'll be able to contribute. I will make an impact and a difference. So now I've hit financial. That's such an important one as well. Know what you want, because there's an abundant out there and you only need enough to live the life you want to live. So I'm sitting here and I've done social and I've done mental and I've done physical and I've done spiritual and I've done financial. There's 5 dimensions. Everything hits all of this. In social, you have your family, friends, relationships. So you want to have a good understanding there, and you want to have some objectives in each area, and you want to focus on one thing in the center. What's your key focus? What do you really want right now? That goal, you would say, that vision. And you have to make sure that it's in alignment with the rest of your life. And you have to work on one thing at a time every day, taking steps towards it. And, what do you stand for? so that on your 3x5, you know how to say no. You know, Marie Forleo talks about a no train. That was a hard one for me. I don't say no easily. So what do you stand for? And make sure that you're always true to yourself. Now, I want to get to the last thing, which is love. We make all of our decisions, because remember, what we're talking about is the decisions you make that are worthy for your life and you. You want to be conscious of what you're filling your card with. You want to know what you're putting in your recipe. So can you imagine if I make, and I'm trying to, imagine me putting soy sauce in a chocolate cake. Maybe it'll be good. And Haley may tell me of some wonderful recipe that has it. But I think you got the picture of what I'm trying to say. Create the recipe of your life. Let's talk about love. You know, we make decisions based on love and fear. We do and don't do things based on those two things. One of the things that I'm concerned about all the time is making sure anybody I work with, whether it's in my business, in commercial real estate, or it's with a senior trying to figure what they want to do next, or a child or a woman, doesn't matter who it is. The key is, do you love yourself? So I want you all to repeat after me. This is how I want to really end with these last few things. If you're alone, then you can yell it, and you make sure to yell it because I want you to feel the vibration. And if you're not alone and you're with a bunch of people, at least think it or whisper it to yourself. But please repeat after me. I love me. I love me. I love me. Because when you're loving you, that's going to glow and other people will get you and you'll be able to love more with them as well. And many of your decisions will feel that feeling. That's the feeling you want. If you're feeling that good feeling, that's what you want to jump on. That's what you want to spend your time on in your life. Now, you know, money is the thing because we're all entrepreneurs in here, Women's Entrepreneur Network. So I want to say, here's a harder one because we ran something called Fall in Love with Money. So I want you to do this now. I love money. I love money. I love money because money's a tool and resource to get everything you want. And you know, in our book club, we read a book called The Boy, the Mule, the Fox, and the Horse. What a book. And at one point it says, there's a horse and a boy. You fell, but I've got you. And that's what a community is. A community is that feeling. So thank you, Haley. I always feel like I've got you. And you know, I end when I look at any of my clients and I say, I wish you could see you through my eyes. Why? Because I see beauty. And I really make sure my 3x5 works well. I wish that for all of you. Thank you, Haley. Thank you, everybody that's here. Katherine Kim Mullen, have a great day.
Hey there. Thank you so much for doing this. I love money. I love myself. Boy, it can be hard to say those things. It really can.
It is, Haley. It really is. And especially for women, because we're so busy loving everybody else and caring for them.
Absolutely. So how would somebody...
You know, you believe in happening and women's...
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, how would somebody go about...
reach me, you know? Well, I can put it in the chat when I leave here.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay. I'll put it in the chat. sagenavigation.ca. We're doing a wonderful event that you might want. It's free. You could register for it and get the scroll, which is the workbook, and it'll be a lot of fun. And you know something? The fact, like the part that I'm talking about, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a woman, you definitely want to do that work before, because when you get to, like Haley's putting on a retreat doing the marketing, when you get you and you put it that concise, Haley's going to make magic with you. She's going to put you on the map. 76,000 people. What do you think is going to happen with you? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll put it in the chat, sagenavigation.ca. And you can go on there and I'll put whatever I need in there. Reach out to me. I'm in Haley's group and have a
Awesome.
wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being.
And with that, we're going to play musical speakers. And Vandee, if you go ahead and unmute yourself. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody give everybody a huge round of applause. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Katherine, for an amazing, amazing, amazing message. I'm so happy to have you here. And Vandee, I am so happy that you are here and ready to jump in. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Haley, for doing this. And thank you for having me here today. So you guys, my name is Vandee Flake, and I have been an entrepreneur for the last 13 years, actually a little bit more than that, because I kind of started, I tried to make a virtual assistant business back in the early 2000s when I was fresh in college. And it was really hard because nobody had heard of a virtual assistant and nobody wanted to hire a virtual assistant if you weren't coming in the office every day. So I've done a lot of different things over the course of my career. After college, I ended up switching into a job and becoming a marketing manager. And then 13 years ago, I started my own business, and I built it on the side until I could shift to full time. I do a lot right now with social media. I'm also a social media coordinator for the Shark Group. I run my own business. I do a lot of trainings on social media to help other people create entrepreneurs online to help other people with social selling. So today I want to talk about brand ambassadors. What are they? How can we add them to our social selling? You know, Forbes magazine said that digital marketing, digital selling is going to be one of the top income earners for 2023. And I thought that was so exciting. And so I started researching a little bit more because that's what I do. I'm in that field, and I wanted to see what else could we do? How do people get involved in this? And the other day I had a bunch of people asking me questions about what I did. So number one, what is social selling? Social selling is using our relationships, using our social media network, and, and then sharing products we love, sharing products that we are passionate about, and getting paid on those. So some of the companies that have recently launched a brand ambassador, social selling, all of these affiliate programs, these are all very interchangeable names, depending on exactly how the company is using them. But Nike, Land's End, huge companies are starting to pay social media people, to promote their products, because that is where the world is going and stuff. So I thought I would share a little bit today on how you can get involved in some of those and how you can get involved even if your network's not huge. You don't have to be a giant influencer yet, where you can start making some extra money, because we like lots of different streams of income, and it's easy to add something else to your network and to see what you are doing. So the first thing you can do is, if there is a product you love or a company you love, a product you're like, man, this is cool. I wonder if they have a brand ambassador type program. Go to their social media pages, start looking at it. They might have posted one like a roll call. Hey, we are looking for brand ambassadors. They'll usually have a website link. Go to their website, scroll down. It's usually at the very, very, very bottom, and it'll have like a brand ambassador program. Most of them have some kind of application that you have to do. For instance, my family switched to dairy-free because my son is allergic to dairy. So I started researching on how to make my own almond milk. I discovered the almond cow, and it's so cool, but it's such an expensive investment. It's almost $300. But I ordered it. I started using it. I loved it. So I went to their website, and I had people ask me, do you have a code? Well, I didn't have a code. I was just sharing something I loved. So I went to their website, went down to the very, very bottom, found the thing, I applied, I got my own code. I can give people $15 off of that, So I do, when I share making almond milk, when I share making my smoothies, when I share anything about my son's dairy-free journey or things that we're doing, I will share my code to the almond cow. That one, so brands will pay you different ways. Okay. A lot of them will pay you a flat fee if it's a one-time big purchase. Okay. And I think that is a flat fee one. I think it's around $15 per thing, so there's different ways the companies will pay you. Another product I ordered because I saw it influenced. I saw other people sharing it and I kept watching them. I kept reading the stories. It's called Meet Jovi. It is a random little sticky thing you put on and it helps stop the pain from cramping on your periods. Didn't know if it'd work. That's all it is. You just stick it on your stomach, stick it on your back. So I ordered it. They had a application for influencers. I went online. I applied. I got my code. That's one I haven't promoted as much because I just got it. I want to see if it worked before I start promoting it because this is my personal thing. I only promote products that I love. I only promote products I'm passionate about. I had ordered a little snack thing for my babies a couple years ago. It's a cool concept. I got the code. They were kind of a neat one because they actually do monthly specials where they would send and say, hey, post this, tag this. Not only will you get your regular pay, you'll get a bonus if you use, like the theme of the month or whatever like that. That was kind of cool because they shared social media assets. So some of the companies will actually share assets that you can use. So you're not coming up with everything on your own. That was cool. The product had a cool concept. In actuality, it wasn't as great. It would break, it would get stuck and stuff like that. So it wasn't one that I ended up loving. So I don't sell it. I don't share it as much. But that's a great way to do it. If there's a product you love, go on their website, go down, look on their social media, send them a DM, send them an email. If they don't have a page like that, start asking because the answer's always no if you don't ask. The answer's always no. Probably my favorite product I've been doing on social selling lately is collagen because the company pays 10% right away of every order and they pay you a monthly bonus if you get at least $500 in sales up to 4,000 and sales over 4,000. So you can make up to 30% every single month. I love that. The bare cost of that one is $50 per year, so that's not a bad one. My almond cow, I had to pay $300 for. Meet Jovi, I got it on Black Friday sale. So I got that one as a discount, but still it was a couple $100. I had to buy the product before I could use it. If you have a bigger influence, a bigger network, like Instagram follower or YouTube following, you can sometimes get the products free or traded or something like that too. There's different companies that will, that'll do stuff for you. I love the collagen because I get every single day, I get assets, pictures, before and after pictures. I get videos, all of these things that I can use in my own media. I share it with my code. Boom. Every time somebody orders from my code, I get paid. It makes it very, very simple. Those are the things that you want to look for. Number one, you want to look for a product you love because I don't feel comfortable promoting a product I don't love or use. Okay. It's just who I am. One of my early marketing stories was about a car company and they had to do layoffs. And the CEO went outside and he looked in the parking lot and the list of everyone who didn't drive the company car. Those were on the list of who he wanted to let go first because they weren't all in. They weren't people that were committed to the company. And so that's, for me, that was a lesson I heard very early on as probably a teenager. And it just stuck with me. And it always stuck with me that if I'm promoting a product, I want to promote a product I love. I want to promote a product that I'm passionate about. Because to me, otherwise, it's not worth the money. Sometimes people will sell, there's websites you can join that people will send you gifts that you can just try the product as a gift and put it out there. You don't get paid for those. It's a way to kind of build your marketing. we're all entrepreneurs here. We're looking for other streams of income. So I'm talking about how you get paid because I want money on there. So number one, product you love. Okay. Always, always, always find a product you love. Number two, how easy is it to get involved? What are the requirements? Like, look at that kind of thing there, because some of them have a higher thing. I love my almond cow. I will probably never make enough money to pay for what the almond cow costs. Okay. That's just the nature of the cost versus, how many people. It's a one-time purchase. It's a higher purchase. People aren't going to buy it as frequently. Do I still share it? Yes, because it's a product I love. Okay. Hopefully I will make a little bit more money on it. So you want to kind of look at that, the cost versus the profit thing too. It's something to consider. You want to make sure the terms and conditions. Some people don't want you promoting their competitor at the same time. Amazon also has some great things with this too, where you can become an Amazon affiliate. You can share products and get paid also on those. So there's a lot of different ways we can do this. And you just have to start researching it. I've written an ebook. I've done a lot of different things. But for me, these brand partnerships have been the best way I've been able to leverage my social media to make income. Product you love, how easy is it to get involved, and what's the support? Some of the places I've done offer no support. They just don't. Here's your code. That's it. That's all they offer. That's fine. That's the way they run their program. Some offer lots of support. Some will even offer free trainings like, hey, you want to get started as an entrepreneur? That's one that I love with the collagen, because everybody's excited about collagen. Forbes estimated that the collagen market is going to double in the next 5 years. It was at $3 billion in 2018. Then it doubled to $8 billion in 2020, and it's going to double again by 2025. So it's a good market to be in there. That's another thing to look at. What are the trends happening in the world? Is this a product I can get behind? I like the Meat Jovi because it's a natural, non-medication way to deal with pain. However, it's quite expensive. I think these things are like $100 a piece. It's quite a high price tag. So that, again, makes it a little bit more limited. It's not something people are going to order month after month after month, which is, again, collagen, people order it month after month after month. So things like that you want to look at and I'm not saying there's one that's good or bad or one that's better. It's just a different methodology. So you want to make sure you are looking at those different methodologies, looking at those different options there and seeing where you're going with that as you research. So if you want to become a brand ambassador, you want to become an affiliate marketer, whatever term, they're all interchangeable terms, you guys. Everyone just keeps sometimes the companies will change them to try to be more attractive or something, but they're all very similar terms. You want to look at how much does it cost to get involved? Is it a product I know and love? What's the pay? Is there any caveats? Are there any barriers that I need to be aware of? How is this going to work for me there? And it's so great because most of us on here are entrepreneurs. We have our own businesses and stuff. So this is just looking at other ways we can add different streams of income to our current marketing, to our what we're doing anyway. What else can we add to our social media selling? As we post, my page doesn't look like an ad of ad. My page is my life sprinkled in here and there with a few ads, a few stories. I kind of try to keep mine at the 80-20 rule. 80% of it is my life. 80% of it is what I got going on right now. 20% is, what I'm selling, different things I'm selling, all of the different things I'm involved in. I try to keep it very simple and just make it simple. Hey, we're making smoothies for breakfast. And by the way, here's the code for my almond cow. That kind of simplicity to add in there of, if it's my collagen, it's very, very simple. Hey, look at my girlfriend's before and after pictures. By the way, here's a link. Keep it very simple and very not duplicatable, but easy to do. Because if something's hard to do, I don't do it. Like for instance, I keep all my codes on my phone as a short code because it's easy for me to keep it there. I can type in like a cow is one word, ACOW, and it's a text replacement to my short almond cow link. It's something I can remember. It's something I can find. So I'm at the church the other day. A lady told me that she was dairy free. I said, let's get together. Well, I can share some recipes. I said, have you ever tried the almond cow? And she goes, I've been researching different ones, trying to decide. I said, well, if you decide, here's the code. Text it to her. Boom, I was done. That's what you want. When I talk about simple, I have the same thing for my collagen codes. Simple, a short code to a video if they want more information, short code to order it directly from my website. Keep it simple and then look at stuff. So yeah, the ways you can find them. Go to the company's website. Go all the way to the bottom usually and look for those words like affiliate marketing, brand ambassador, social selling. Those kind of terms are usually there. If they don't have a program set up, and you usually have to apply, if they don't have a term set up, email the company, DM them, go follow them on social media and see what they're doing. Follow their stories, because a lot of these guys, if somebody shares it and tags them in their story, they will reshare it there. So then you can go look and be like, hey, they shared this one. I wonder if they have a code. And then you can ask. So, but big companies are starting to do this. Big companies are starting to add this to their repertoire, to what they are doing, because it is so effective. This is something that we as a people are looking for. This is a complete turn on its head to selling. It's a complete turn on its head to the economy from where it was, even 5 years ago, 3 years ago. It's a very different market. It's a very different world we live in. And so it's something that we want to do and we want to do. We still want to add value to our pages. We still want to promote our main business. But it's important, I think, to have multiple streams of income and multiple ways. So when you find a product that works with your pillars, with your people, your audience, and it's something you're passionate about, look at adding it in as another stream of income. And it's very, very simple. But make sure you pay attention, read the fine print, or ask somebody if that you have questions. Ask somebody and say, hey, I see you're doing this. Can you tell me more about it? What kind of programs, what kind of benefits do they offer? Is it something I could do too? How much money are you making off that? Because we want to build those up. We want to know what's the expectation. I want to know that if I sell the almond cow, I'm going to get paid X number of dollars. If I sell 2,000 in sales volume, 18 customers ordering this, I'm going to make $500 a month. If I sell 36, I'm going to make $1,200 a month. I want to know those numbers because those are important. And that's how we can build our revenue. That's how we can build our business and just add other streams of income. I am a big proponent that we should have multiple streams of income and multiple ways of doing it. But I'm also like to be realistic about the numbers. This has probably been my best selling online over my book, over, some of the other, probably all the other ones I've done together. And I've been doing this for about 6 months now, since July, sharing it a little bit on my social media, little bit and seeing how it grows there. So just being completely transparent with everybody on, different ways we can do it, is looking at those things, and look for people that are transparent on there. Because sometimes people try to sell courses on how to do it or whatever. I don't like to gatekeep. I like to share that information there. So just to close up here, brand partners, brand ambassadors are a huge thing with social selling. It is definitely, according to Forbes, the wave of the future. It's definitely the way we can start making some extra income. It's a great side hustle. It's a great addition to what you are doing already. So look into it. Look for products you love. Look at how much does it cost to get started? What's the compensation plan? How does that work? And what kind of support do they offer? Because some people will only do it if you are a huge influencer. Some people have a program where they will train you and offer you assets and offer you things to help build you up if you're just getting started. So look at those and yeah, have fun. There's a lot of things out there that we can do. And as entrepreneurs, we need to be always learning, always growing, and, just always going out there and getting there and looking for different opportunities, because when opportunity knocks, we want to be ready. We want to create our own future, I guess. Oh, you're muted.
Absolutely. And, I want to add just how valuable this is. Like, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to start an affiliate program, blah, 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 blah. To your point, I want to reiterate a couple of points because you made really, really valuable points, and add one cute tip of my own to this, because I think that this is so incredibly valuable. So go search for things that you're already using that are a natural fit in your business, and go approach these companies, see which ones are, an organic fit. Like for me, SiteGround, because I use SiteGround and I recommend SiteGround, is a huge one, right? But they also give me links. They give me all kinds of stuff to market with. And then the other thing is, this is a great way to add income. And if you have a WordPress site, there is a cool plugin called Pretty Links. Have you heard of this thing?
I haven't heard of Pretty Links. I'm sitting here taking notes.
So Pretty Links is this really cool thing I learned about a couple of years ago. So rather than setting like 301 redirects for things or setting up specific URLs, what you can do is you can go onto your WordPress, you install Pretty Links, and then you can put in your affiliate codes. So mine is like leadershipgirl.com/Entreport/this/SiteGround. All of my affiliate links have Pretty Links associated with it. So I just have to remember what the heck I called it. And if I keep like messing it up, I actually go back and I add the messed up version to my Pretty Links.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do it as the text replacement, but having the Pretty Links, having things saved so they're easy is so key, because if the link's too hard for you to find, you won't use it. You won't share it.
No. And you won't be able to remember where it came from or how it came into being. But if it's like right there in a list and you can just like, oh, this is such and such, here's my link, go for it. It is much, much easier.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people to start asking, start looking, because there more and more websites are adding this. I just saw, Nike and Land's End, I think this year, I think it was added it, that they're starting to do it. So yeah, look.
HelloFresh has it. I use HelloFresh. I've used them for like almost 4 years now. So, I mean, there's so many different things out there that are amazing companies. And this is a great way for them to market.
Yeah. And they're looking for it because it's easy for them, because it's more effective than, buying just generic ads or radio ads. They're getting that word of mouth. So it's a win-win. We just have to raise our hands and add it. So
yeah. And it might be $10 here or $50 there, but hey, that pays for grocery bills 1 week.
It does. And that's what I tell people. It's a lot of things, but I try to be honest with people on how much they're going to make on those, and be transparent with that. But yeah, if anyone has questions, they're welcome to reach out to me. I'm Vandee Flake on Facebook, Instagram. I'm in the group. My website's vandeeflake.com. So if anyone has questions, let me know.
VandeeFlake.com. Cool. Well, thank you so much for hopping in today and being willing to do this at the drop of a hat. Y'all book a call with Vandee if you're interested in doing this affiliate marketing stuff, because, I will say, honestly, this is not going to replace like a full-time software engineering income, but it could pay for your groceries.
It can. And that's where I try to teach people that's my focus right now. How to teach you to make an extra $500 a month, how to teach you to make an extra $1,000 a month with these. And it's extra income and it gives that support. And sometimes it can be that buffer if your job does disappear to give you a little bit of income. Sometimes it's trip money, sometimes it's play money. My girlfriend calls it her mad money.
Sometimes it's a car payment.
Yep.
I've known a lot of people who have done Melaleuca or LifeVantage or, New Skin or whatever. And it's just a car payment. It's not a huge amount of money or whatever, but they're referring people and sharing products they love and, affiliate marketing and doing all these things. It adds up.
It does. Cool. It adds up. And that's why we're entrepreneurs. We're creative. So thanks, Haley. This has been a great call, and I will keep watching.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, we're going to flip over to Kelly Fox and invite her to the stage. Hey, Kelly, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I actually think that this is going to be an awesome, follow on from our, previous two conversations, because one of the things I asked in my Facebook this week was, if you had to make $10,000 in a week, what would you do? Not doing anything illegal. And, what I found was really interesting was that some people had answers. Like, I would put together this package and I would do this and I would do that. And there were a lot of people who were like, I would basically curl up and die. And I'm like, wow, that is just so much fear. When there's lots of ways out there to make that income and do things. And I feel like they need somebody like Kelly to get over that fear of the unknown, not knowing how to solve the problem and get started. So welcome, Kelly, to the stage. With that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the full screen here.
All right. Thank you so much, Haley. Yeah, I'm super excited to talk to you today. What I'm going to share with you today may be a little bit different than what you just heard, though I have an affiliate program. So if you like me, you can make some money with me too. But I want you to think about yourself when you were a little person, a little kid. Think about yourself when you were fearless, when you didn't think about how you were going to look or how you were going to sound, but you just were loud and proud and had fun with everything that you did. For me, that was right around, I was 6, 7, and I was so willing to just be seen, so willing to sing at the top of my lungs, so willing to steal the limelight wherever I was. And then as I got older, that changed, and I started to retreat in. I started to hide from people and from situations, and started doubting myself and started downplaying my capabilities and stopped giving myself permission to live the life that I wanted to live, to do the things that I wanted to be doing. And I lived that way for a while. And it wasn't until I was in my late 20s, I had just moved to Georgia from California, and I was having my second child. So I was home with 2, small kids. I was on the opposite side of the United States from all of my family and my friends, and my husband was at work all day, and I didn't have anything to do. And so I was watching TV, and I watched this show called Starting Over. It was this show, one of the first reality shows on TV, and it was 2 life coaches and a psychiatrist, and they helped women through their issues. And they would be on there for a certain amount of time and then graduate out of the house, and then somebody else would come in and we have new issues to work on. One of those life coaches was Rhonda Britton, and I just loved her. I loved the exercises she gave. And so they went on a mall tour, and I went to the Mall of Georgia and saw them, and I jumped way out of my comfort zone and joined a book group. While I was reading this book, which is called Fearless Living, I discovered that by doing the work in that book, I was changing my life. me. I was changing my life. And so I got a coach and I started working with a coach. And at that time, my life had kind of blown up. My husband and I had separated. I'd gone back to California. I had a 2-month-old and a 2-year-old, and I just had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And as I was working with this coach and learning these skills and these strategies, I was able to call myself on all of these stories that I had been believing, all of these stories that fear had been telling me were true, but they really weren't true. And I was able to support my husband in seeing the stories that he was creating about our relationship and about how I felt about him and how he felt about me and our family. And we were able to work together and get ourselves back together. And we've been married now for over 22 years, and we have 6 kids. And none of that would have been possible without the skills and the tools that I learned from Fearless Living. And I decided that time that I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to support people to overcome their fears, to live the life that they want to live, to give themselves permission to have as big of a life as they want to have, to go after those big, scary dreams, to be able to speak out loud and share the things that they're passionate about, and to do the things that just seem so far out of their comfort zone that they would die if they had to do them. These are the things that get me excited, to see people change their relationships with themselves and with the people around them and with their life, to begin to start to love their life. And one of the tools that I learned right at the beginning, and that I told myself over and over and over and over again all day long, was, are you making it up or is it true? I was making up so much stuff. And the reason why we make up stuff is because our brain likes a full picture. It wants every piece of that puzzle inside the picture. It doesn't want a missing piece. And so we don't always have all of the facts. And when there's a missing piece to that puzzle, it makes something up and it puts it there so that it can look like a complete picture. But if we don't analyze it, if we don't look at it and we don't judge each piece, then we can get stuck believing that that fake piece is a real piece. And then we start to play small, we start to diminish, we start to take away our permission to do what it is that we want to do, to start a business, to be loud and proud about it, to starting a new program or giving a talk or whatever it might be. There might be some of you out there thinking, oh, I could never say yes to Haley and come on here and speak. But believe me, you can. Before all of this, if you would have asked me if I came on, I would have said absolutely no. But because I have been daily taking steps and questioning those stories, I'm able to be here today. I'm able to speak to you. And Haley asked me yesterday. So I was able to just be an immediate yes. And that is something that I'm able to do because of the daily practice of saying, I am capable, I can trust myself. Another tool that I use on a daily basis is a tool called acknowledgments. And you may be familiar with this idea, but as we do it here in Fearless Living, is we say, today, I acknowledge myself for. And it's something that you did. It's a step you took. It's a thought that was a new thought. It can be anything from small to big, something that you did that you want to acknowledge yourself for doing. And sometimes it's, today I got out of bed, because some days it's hard to get out of bed. And sometimes it'll be, today I spoke for the Women's Entrepreneur Network, right? So whatever that is, you want to acknowledge yourself for it. It builds your confidence. It builds your trust in yourself. and it moves you forward. It expands your comfort zone as you do those things. Another thing that I do every day is I write 5 gratitudes. And those are things that are completely outside of me. They're things that I had no control over, things that people did. And I am looking and acknowledging that they did them. So, a beautiful day, the sun coming out, rain, my child's smile, a hug right when I needed it, my husband making dinner, the kids actually emptying the dishwasher after the first time I asked, right? There's all different things that we can be grateful for, and we write 5 of those a day and 5 acknowledgments a day. And I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to look at your day and say, okay, what are 5 things that I can acknowledge myself for today? Entrepreneurs, we're doing things all day long to further our business. And we also have personal lives. Sometimes we also have other businesses or jobs that we're doing. We're not just doing one thing, right? So there's all these different areas in which we can acknowledge ourselves and we can be grateful for. And as we do that, we shift our belief in the fact that the universe is for us, that it wants our success, that things can come easy, and that things don't need to be a struggle or a challenge, but they can come easy and be lift us up and brighten our day. And all we need to do is see them and recognize them. And the acknowledgments shift our thinking into knowing, having confidence, knowing that we can trust ourselves to be able to handle whatever situation comes our way. And trust is a huge thing for me. You can see it in my, we're flipped. You can see it in my poster behind me. It's a really big thing for me. So what's a really big thing for you? Maybe courageous is a word that resonates with you, or being compassionate with yourself resonates with you. Whatever it is that resonates with you, focus on that. Focus on trusting yourself, being compassionate with yourself, being loving with yourself, generous with yourself, authentic. Whatever it might be, focus on that and acknowledge each time you make a choice to do that, to show up in that space that you want to create for yourself, the person who you want to be, basically. So those are tools that I use every day. Every day I use those tools. And I know that if you use them, that it will start to shift your whole life. And that might sound like big. You might be, oh, Kelly, whatever. I've heard those things before, but I'm serious. Doing those 3 things will change your life. But I want to share one more tool with you, and I hope I'm not overwhelming you with tools. Tools are my jam. I love sharing tools and strategies. If you work with me, you're going to get a ton, because I want you to have what you need to have, so that in those moments when you get triggered or something gets in your face and you don't seem to be able to get past it, I want you to know what you can do. I want you to be able to pull this tool out of your back pocket and use it and keep moving forward and not let fear stop you. So the tool I want to share with you today is called Stretch, Risk, Die. And it is a tool from Fearless Living. And I want you to picture kind of like a bullseye. So the middle of the bullseye is your comfort zone, and that's what is known. So it may not be comfortable. It may not be something that you like, that you do or you don't do, but it's what you're doing now, and that is your comfort zone. One ring out is your stretch zone. It also can be it's also known as your beat up zone, because you've done these things before, but you're not currently doing them. So you beat yourself up a little, because why can't you keep doing it? Why can't you be more consistent? Right? Our fear keeps beating us up, because we're not currently doing that. So one ring out from that is our risk zone. And those are things that we haven't done before. We might need to ask help. That can be a scary thing, to ask for help. We might need to do some research, or There's different aspects of it. It's not something that we've done before and we don't know we'll be successful at it. And so that's our risk zone. And then everything outside of that is the die zone. And the die zone just means that it's so far from you that you just think you would die if you had to do it. And, but those are the exciting things, those are the things we want to bring closer to us, because as we expand our comfort zone, those things come closer. Our stretch zone becomes our risk zone. Our risk zone, I'm going the wrong direction. Our die zone becomes our risk zone, and our risk zone now is a stretch. And what was once a stretch is now in our comfort zone. And so everything comes closer as we take risks and expand that comfort zone to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So I want you to think of something that you have in front of yourself right now. I want you to think of the different things that you're going to need to do to accomplish it, right? Maybe it's go live on social media more. Maybe it's getting a little bit more in depth with your content. Maybe it's creating a new program, or asking to speak at a new venue. Maybe it's all these different possibilities, right, with entrepreneurs, depending on the business you have and the visibility that you're wanting. So take these tasks that you have in front of you and map them out on the stretcher side. Are they in your comfort zone? Are they stretches? Are they risks? Are they dives? Figure out where they lie, because if you're not doing them, then there's fear involved. So how much fear is involved? Is it a risk? If it's a risk, you're going to need some help to get it done. So don't beat yourself up for procrastinating it or leaving it for another day. It's a big deal if it's a risk. Okay, so you might need some help or some accountability, or you might need to find a mentor, or there's lots of different possibilities of how we can make those risks easier to take. So we want to break down those risks into more of a stretch so that we can more easily walk our way towards it. And then once we've done that risk, that die is closer now and it seems more possible. And it may just be a little bit more stretch or one or two more risks, and then we're there and we've accomplished it. And now we have even more in front of us that we can see that we want to accomplish and we want to do. This is how we baby step our way past fear. Because fear, a lot of the times people think of fear as the boogeyman, as this force that's wanting us to fail or wanting us to be unhappy. But really, fear loves us. And that can be a totally different perception to have a fear. But really, fear loves us. And its one job, its main job is to keep us safe. And when we step out of that comfort zone, it doesn't know if we're going to be safe. And so it wants to keep us safe. That's what it wants to do. And so it's going to remind us of the past. It's going to bring up, all those times when it didn't work out, or someone was mean to us, or we fell and scratched our knee, or we were laughed at, or whatever it might be. It's going to bring up all of those memories. It's going to bring up all of those emotions and feelings inside our body. Just like if you think you saw a snake and you want to get out of there fast, our fear can affect us with emotional fears that way as well. So you're asked to speak and you get all scared and you want to get out of there fast. It's the same thing, right? But really, our fear doesn't know, right? It doesn't know that we've grown. It doesn't know that we've learned. It doesn't know that we have all of these new skills and tools to be able to handle these situations differently. It doesn't know that this is a different person who has different values than the other person who hurt you, right? It doesn't know all that. All it knows is that you're about to step out of your comfort zone and it doesn't want it. What I try to think of fear as is kind of like a helicopter mom. Now, this might be because I'm a mom
of a lot of kids, and I can have a tendency to be a little bit of a helicopter mom. But a helicopter mom, if you're not familiar with that term, it's kind of that mom that hovers, right? She's kind of hovering over the kids, trying to make sure that nothing ever happens. They never fall. No one's ever mean to them. You know, they're never on their own, right? They're always protected. They're always being watched over, and they're always safe.
Okay. And that sounds lovely. But if your mom is always on top of you and you don't have that experience of falling and skinning your knee, then you never know. You never know. You never learn. You never grow. Right? And so we need those experiences. We need those times when we do fall down, and then we get back up and we learn that we can get up. So I would love to talk to you so much more about fear, but my time has come to an end. But I would love to share more about fear with you anytime.
That was just so perfect. And I think that what I see a lot of people run into is that they want something, but it's so far out there in that die zone that they don't even believe it's possible.
Yeah, but it is.
It absolutely is. And that was my point the other day with my question about if you had to suddenly do this. But I think what it is for so many people, it's so far out there in the die zone that they can't even see it. It might as well be in the clouds.
Yeah.
Awesome. This was an awesome set of tools, an awesome talk. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining me today. I have loved listening to you talk today. I've got you like on speaker and I'm like hanging on my TV, on my screen. I am so happy to have you here. Y'all, let's give Kelly a round of applause. Thank you. Let's tell her thank you. Let's give her some love in the chat. And thank you so much for being here, Kelly. And with that, I'm going to switch speakers and we're going to switch over to Pamela and welcome her to the stage. Welcome, Pamela. I am so happy to have you here as part of this month's WEN Talk. Welcome, everybody. Let's give her a warm WEN welcome. Happy to have you here. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the stage.
Haley, thank you so much for having me here today. Super honored to be here and part of this amazing network of incredible women just rocking life and just crushing it in business and teaming up together so we can take over the world. Now, today, what I really want to talk to you guys about is how to find the most profitable real estate deals, right? Everyone wants to get into real estate. Everyone wants to do all these incredible things, but it's like, how do you find that magic deal, right? So I'm going to walk you through 10 steps today on how to do that. I will give you a little bit of my background, why I think it's super important to diversify into real estate if you haven't already, and how to maximize from there using my 10 steps, which I call the foolproof financial formula. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you all so, so much. So I'm going to take you through this. Now, I've got it right here. So, first things first, who am I and why am I talking to you, right? So, my name is Pamela Bardhi. I was born in Tirana, Albania, and I came to the US when I was about, I want to say 5 years old. My parents won the visa lottery to come here, and essentially, they didn't have any family here, didn't know how to speak English. My little brother was a newborn, and I was 5 years old. Now, the way that this happened was my grandmother put their names in the visa lottery and my dad said, we're going for the American dream, period. That's it. So we came here when I was about 5. My parents were working all types of weird jobs when we first got to the US because, you know, the financial situation and not knowing how to speak English. So my father eventually got into the restaurant world. He was working back of house cooking in the beginning, and then he got into kind of front of house operations. So basically started to talk to customers, started to do deliveries, things like that. Because of that, he was able to meet the owner of the business personally and really became good friends with him. Now, this gentleman said something to my father in which he will never forget and really changed his life and his whole trajectory and my life and all generations to follow. When he said this, two things. He said, Soko, the way that you build wealth in America is one of two ways. A, you own your own business. B, you own real estate. He's like, I know you've only been in this country for a couple of years and probably won't qualify for any real estate loans, but I'm going to give you a down payment. Go out and buy a business. My father went out, bought a business. I started working there when I was about, I want to say 10 years old, because I wanted to hang out with my dad. And then by the time I was 18, I was running the show with him. By the time I was 21, I opened 2 of my own restaurants, plus his on the back end, because that's all I knew. And I found myself working like 14, 12, 16-hour days. And that was cool for being 21 and just graduating college and all of that. But I'm saying to myself, I'm like, dang, there's got to be a better way. Like, what do these investors do? Like, what is this thing all about real estate? Because to the extent that I knew real estate was really all about like people selling houses, and that was it. Like, I didn't know about making money work for you, real estate investing, like none of that. So I had real estate developers that came to my father's restaurant, and they basically were like, hey, Pam, we're real estate investors, and like, this is what we do, got into conversation with them. First, I literally thought that they were actual like drug dealers, because I was like, how are these guys like do what they want whenever they want at any point in time, like all of that. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, how can you just live like that? Here I am working like these insane hours. And they were talking about, how the rentals that they've bought, that they've done flips, like they buy properties, fix them and sell them, or they buy them, fix them and renovate them and hold them for rentals. And I'm like, this is interesting. Learned a lot there. And from that moment, I decided that I wanted to get into real estate development. Now, real estate development, I was 21 years old, had 2 restaurants. So what I did was I hired a coach, bought my first flip, and really elevated from there. So I went on to create my own development company, my own real estate brokerage, my own construction company. I became one of the youngest licensed female general contractors in the state of Massachusetts throughout my time. And by the time I was 27, I made it to Forbes and Time magazine as a trailblazer in the real estate industry. And this was all through hustle and relationships. Remember, ladies, prior to this, I had no real estate experience. Honestly, like none. Just hustle and grit that got me there. And I always say, hustle outbeats talent every day of the week, right? You could be extremely talented in anything and everything. However, if you're not hustling, that singles you out, right? And that's how the hustlers win. So I've built this incredible career in the real estate development game, being boots on the ground as a contractor myself, being in the construction game. And so throughout my time, I kept getting people to ask me like, hey, Pam, like, how do you actually do this? Like, what are the steps? Like, I don't even know how have you cultivated what you've cultivated and found such massive success in what you do? Now, I'm based here in the Boston, Massachusetts market. And I've kind of figured out ways in which it works for me. But I found that this not only works for Boston, but this works everywhere across the country. Anyone that I've shared this with, I do have a book that anyone I've shared this with literally has taken it and scaled it no matter what state they were in. And it's amazing. So let's start off with the first of the 10 steps, the foolproof financial formula, right? And this can be used for flipping houses. So if you want to buy, fix, flip, and sell, or you can purchase a property, renovate it, and hold it as a rental, or purchase a property, renovate it, and live in it yourself. So it really, or a commercial property. Like you can literally, there's a million different applications for this. The point is, you buy a property that needs some work, you add that value to it, and then either you hold it or you sell it. Now, in this market, a bit questionable. I would not flip anything right now. If you're purchasing something, honestly, hold it long term and have multiple exits, because if you're banking on just flipping it and selling it at the end, you might be in trouble because of the way that values are kind of playing themselves and interest rates and stuff these days. But first things first, where do you start, right? You're so enamored by real estate. And the problem with real estate, it's a problem and a curse, is that it's like drinking from a literal fire hose. Everybody wants to get into real estate. Everyone wants their hands in real estate. Now, the question is how to actually do it the right way, right? How do you do it strategically for the long term to risk mitigate everything you had? So I'm gonna give you the insights as a developer today. So you guys have got like a whole toolbox. So if you're going out there, purchase anything, you've got this down. Now, first step of my formula is to identify your market. Now, this is this is a hard problem, right? So, how do I explain this one? There's deals that look like amazing deals, right? So I'm in Massachusetts, and there's states that are cheaper, like Rhode Island and New Hampshire and stuff nearby. And it's very tempting to look at them and say, wow, I can only buy a house there for like $200K. And you always get what you pay for. And the rents are always going to be congruent to what the purchase price is. So even though things are more expensive here in Boston, you get more rent. So everything will always go according to price. So I always say this, you've got to know where are you playing? Where is your sandbox? Where do you want to start? Right? And I always say laser focus on 2 to 3 cities that you know like the back of your hand, especially if you've got a ton of relationships there and you've built your name there. That is super, super key. Absolutely take advantage of those relationships where you have there, because never forget, real estate is a local business. I played in my market here in Boston in like the Rosendale, West Roxbury area. And honestly, all of the deals that I've gotten, all off market, all handshake deals, insane deals, even at the top of the market. And that was because I had my relationships here. I was laser focused on 2 to 3 cities where I had the best relationships. And that's how I started. That is step number 1, right? And then another thing that this drives me crazy, right? So when you're looking at these markets and you're like, this looks like a really interesting place to invest. Oh, I'm used to this area. I know this area. Looking at the comps. Now, what do I mean by comps? Comparable sales, right? You're like, I want to purchase in this area because look how much this property sells for, and then that property sells for. I want to caution you very closely on this. Make sure whatever property you're looking at, whether you're looking to buy it and flip it, or you're looking to buy it and hold it for a long time, or live in it yourself, look at what has been sold within a half-mile radius within the last 6 months, even 3 months if you can, that look exactly like that house or property or whatever. That's going to be your most accurate pinpoint value, because I cannot tell you how imperative it is that you stay laser focused on that valuation. Because one street, like for example, there are streets in my city here in Boston, one street is worth $100K more than the next street over. But see, being local, I can understand that, and I know that. But that's why also the comps are kind of the best way to really tap into that. So that is something to look into. If you're an agent or if you're working with an agent, make sure, hey, I want to know what's happening within a half-mile radius within the last 3 to 6 months. What's been sold here? Look at that price per square foot. And if you're looking at it as an investment property, look at the income structures and that kind of thing. So that's first things first. Find your sandbox, 2 to 3 cities. Once you find that sandbox, you're going to have an idea of what that sandbox is going to cost you, right? So sometimes I even like to argue and say, like, figure out your budget first and then kind of find your sandbox, but you can kind of do this simultaneously, right? So then looking at these comps that I just mentioned, you want to ask yourself, well, how much am I looking to invest? How much capital do I have? Do I have 401ks that I can put into place? Do I have insurance policies that I can liquidate to go out and purchase these real estate assets? Is there seller financing that I could get? Is there investors or people that want to come into this deal with me? I mean, your own liquidity. Do you have a property that has equity that you can pull a line of credit from? These are all options on how you can purchase real estate, guys. And even like with my lenders that I have here in Boston, if you have equity in your properties, sometimes they're able to collateralize them. So you don't even put any money down. They just write like, okay, hey, when you sell or refinance this property, we'll just write it off on this property and you don't have to put any money down. Like, there's so many creative ways to buy real estate, regardless of what it is. Know how you're going to finance it and what your exit strategies are, right? And what I mean by that is, say you're going to buy a multifamily property, say a 3-family, keep it simple. And you're going to hold it and you're going to rent it. So maybe you buy it, do some work to it, and then you refinance it and you rent out the entire property and then keep it from there, right? So you're going to need like a multifamily investment loan on that. Make sure you have your bank lined up. Make sure all your financing is lined up prior to, right? You don't want to put in an offer on a deal and then all of a sudden not get approved for financing. It's like the biggest buzzkill on the entire planet. Do not recommend it, but that's why it's super key to know your budget, so that also you know what you're in for, how much liquidity you're expected to utilize, like all of that stuff. When it comes to investing, everything is a numbers game, right? Like, don't fall in love with the house. I mean, unless you're living in it, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Like, really, really focus on that. So that's super key. So identifying that budget is key. And then figuring out like what asset class, like what type of property do you actually want to purchase? And this can apply to whatever you want, right? You can buy a 2-family, you can buy a 3-family, buy a single family home if you want, right? Because even with these single family homes, there has been brand new laws across every single state that enables you to have these things called accessible dwelling units in your home, either in your basement, your attic, or you could actually build its own unit, like almost like a tiny home in your yard, which is super cool, right? And this was created because so many people are saying, my gosh, real estate's unaffordable. I can't go out and buy another house, but I need more space. So it's created for owner occupants. So even if you do have a single family home, still an option for you, to do these ADUs, they're called accessible dwelling units. But you also could apply this to a commercial property, right? But you got to know what budget, where you're playing, and then choose the type of property that you're going for, right? The best real estate developers and investors that I know on the planet are like lasered in on what they focus on, right? Like, I have friends in Florida that buy multifamily buildings, anywhere from 20 units to 50 units in the Tampa area. And that's what they've been doing the last 20 years. And it's worked wonders for them. Then I know people that are purchasing down south, like Georgia and Texas, and buying single family homes and crushing it with that. Whatever it is, just laser focus on where you want to be, your location, your budget, and what you're buying, and focus on those same types of assets. And that's super, super key. Now, how do you really source the ideal deal, right? One of the main things that I was mentioning earlier was your neighborhood, right? So if you have relationships in these areas and your sandbox, if you will, you're going to know about things before most people do, right? If you go out there and, you call a buddy of yours who's lived, or a neighbor who's been on your street forever, you say, hey, I'm looking to buy, a 3-family. Know anybody who's selling? Oh yeah, my cousin Jimmy's, looking to sell his 3-family. Bring them over there. Like, those are the best deals, guys. The absolute best deals you could ever have, right? And the cool thing about kind of keeping everything very centralized is for logistical and operational purposes. Now, say you want to invest in real estate and you want to go out and you want to buy something in Florida, you want to buy something in Texas, you want to buy something in Connecticut. That's great. But when maintenance happens and when you need contractors to go to certain places, you got things all over the place. Even in the same state, you could, if they're like more than an hour apart, it'd be very hard for you to find contractors and service people that are going to take care of those properties. Whereas from a logistical standpoint, you keep everything super close. Everything is much more efficient and energy efficient in that way, right? And plus, you also start to build your name in the community. People are like, oh yeah, they know, like, oh yeah, I know Pam. She owns properties here, like, and so on. Your name builds, right? So that's exactly what you want in situations like this. Now, that being said, sourcing the ideal deal, if you will, word of mouth is definitely the best. Definitely the best. Of course, now you can start to fish some information on like MLS, right? Before, the market was so absolutely insane that like the deals on the market were just way overpriced. People were overpaying and that kind of thing. Now there's a little bit of leverage. So that is super, super helpful. So now you actually can look on MLS for some deals. Check on something that's been sitting on the market for a while and see where it takes you. But honestly, aside from relationships that I mentioned, 2 sources of people that are freaking amazing when it comes to real estate deals: real estate agents, the ones who sell the most in that area. Because regardless if they have something on the market or not, they always know of somebody who's looking to sell, right? They always know of somebody who's looking to sell, right? So they could have a pocket deal. You could do like an off-market deal, which is always the best, right? So there's that. And then there's local businesses like pizza places, hardware stores, CVS. I mean, you name it. Wherever people gather, it's a great way. The YMCA, like wherever people gather, the town sports, like, soccer games, things like that. That is where you want to be, and that is where you want to be connected, because that's where the people are. Remember, real estate is a local business, right? Social media marketing, letting people know that you're a buyer. Letting people know, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Oh, just grab a little water. Dry throat here in Boston. I'm deeply sorry about that. That is super, super important, right? Super, 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 super duper important. And there's even, I have so many other ways. Those are just the organic ways that I just mentioned. There's even more than that. There's automated lead generation tools. There's mailed letters. That's when you really want to get fancy schmancy. Door hangers, automated call services. That's for real estate investors that are looking to take things to the next level, right? And then next is how to analyze the best deal, right? How do you negotiate, right? So you picked your sandbox, you picked your budget, you picked your asset class. Now you're out there, you're finding these properties. Next, the most important thing for you to do is to analyze these properties, right? So I have all of these spreadsheets that I analyze the deal before I ever put pen to paper, right? And my biggest goal when I'm sitting down with anybody who has a potential property that I'm super, super, super interested in, my main goal is to get there in person with them so that I can walk the property and be able to kind of pinpoint a value on it and what value I can bring to it. And then after that, analyze the deal, then you close the deal after that part. So if you find a property that you're super interested in, the goal is you get a meeting with the seller or a seller's representative, like their real estate agent, walk through, take notes on all of the properties, right? Everything in the property, take pictures, take videos, take all of that. And remember to go in there with heart and spirit. Never discuss numbers on the first deal. It's like, it's big, big no-no, right? Your goal is to build rapport. And from there, you go back to your home, your office, whatever, and you say, okay, here's the actual value of this property. We looked at the comparable sales. We looked at the areas that we could add value to this property. We ran our numbers. Now we're going to put it in an offer, right? So those are really the super, super important steps. After that, it's negotiation 101. You keep grooving, right? You put the pen to paper, you give the seller the offer, you back it up with all the evidence on why you gave them that price, and you go from there, right? Me, I've always closed like 9 out of 10 deals that I've ever done, right? Always been super straightforward with sellers of things that I can do, things that I can't do, prices that I can be at, prices that I can't be at. And I always back everything with data, right? So that it's never personal. Always want to back it up with data, right? And then after that offer signed, because I've done all my due diligence prior to, then it's just a rocket launch for funding, right? Then I take it to my lender, and my lender's like, okay, sweet, ready to go, Pam. You already ran your numbers. Let's rock and roll. And the next step really is to close it and start the work, right? Most of the time, the most valuable real estate deals that you're going to find, ideally something that's a cosmetic flip that's very in and out is the goal, but 99% of the time I'm doing some work to it, right? So I have a whole section about teaching how to build your team and construction management, right? A lot of people forget that when it comes to real estate, you've got to have like your Rolodex without a doubt. Like you need an attorney, an architect, contractors, suppliers, subcontractors, like what kind of agreements you're going to sign with these subcontractors and contractors and your GC. There's a million things when it comes to that, right? Some of you, like I said, you'll go into a cosmetic flip or you'll do the work yourselves. But there's a whole section that I have on construction management, which is super, super key because it's like a whole squad you're going to need in there. And that's why I say it's so important if you can centralize all your operations and your investments in one location to start. Like, hey, listen, when you're balling, by all means, please go out there and just completely start scaling out everywhere in the country. But when you start, you really want to centralize your operations for this exact reason, so you can keep your team, your contractors, and everybody kind of in one location and expand operations from there. Not just for when you do the renovations, but also for maintenance past that point, especially if it's an investment property. Now, if you live there, it's a little different because you're there, but it's more for investment properties. Now, construction management's a whole thing on its own, but the team is super important, right? Who you choose there is super important. And there's so many different resources out there now, like Thumbtack and things like this, where you can find incredible contractors that have been reviewed by peers who have actually used their services on the app and things like that. So there's a lot that you can do there for maintenance, for construction work. I mean, whatever it is that you need, that app has it. That's one very strong tool that I always love to recommend. And then, once you finish the construction work or renovation, whether it's long-term or something short-term, then how do you market your deal, right? I always say invest in your marketing, guys, regardless if you're going to sell it or if you're going to rent it. When you look at rental photos that look kind of crappy, you kind of just push the other way. Same thing when you go to buy a house, right? Or investment property and stuff. Like if the pictures are crap, you're kind of like, oh, this, they didn't take the time to make some gorgeous photos happen and things like that. So super important. You can hold it for the long term or you can sell it, but invest in that marketing and then rinse and repeat.
So much to think about here, and so much really like valuable, like meaty information. Y'all, we're gonna chop these videos up so you can go back and watch this over and over again, because there is so much valuable content being delivered here today. Go back, hit replay on this. I want to say thank you to Pamela, because I'm just like sitting here going, oh my gosh, so much information. Can we just talk about this for a few hours? Because like, seriously, I feel like a lot of times people are trying to invest in markets they don't know anything about. They're not doing their research. They're not doing the numbers, and, they get burned. And the more you know your numbers, the better you're going to do. And I feel like, it's not just overcoming fear and mindset. It's that like having the, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to really, 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 do the numbers, understand the math, understand the accounting behind it so that you can do better. And that actually is an awesome segue to our next speaker. But how would somebody go about getting in touch with you?
Absolutely. Haley, thank you so much. So like for all these fabulous ladies that are watching right now, this whole thing, I just want to give my free book out to them, which explains everything that I said today in full detail, so that if you are interested in anything, like literally I'll send it to you on Instagram, LinkedIn, like find me anywhere. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pamela Bardhi. Just look me up, send me a message, be like, hey, saw you on here. I'll literally send you my book. And I also have spreadsheets and stuff like that. Because honestly, a lot of the time women aren't in charge of the investment decisions, right? And I'm seeing so many women take over and want to get into real estate and really start investing. So it's something I'm super passionate about. So I would love to give that out to everybody watching, Haley, if that's okay with you.
That is perfect. Make sure you go onto our WEN Talk and drop the link, and then shoot me the link, and I'll make sure I put it everywhere. Thank you so much, everybody. Let's give Pamela a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and appreciate you being here, Pamela. And with that, we're going to be talking about numbers with our next amazing powerhouse speaker, Aradhana Aggarwal. Welcome, Aradhana. I am so happy to have you here. And if you will please unmute yourself, we will be able to hear you. I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Haley, and good morning and good afternoon, everybody, because I'm pretty sure there might be folks who would be joining from different time zones. Appreciate you being here, and thank you, Haley, for giving me the opportunity to be here. It's a privilege to be here, and it's a very good segue. You make money and then you pay taxes, right? But when you pay taxes, it's a pain. And how you can do proper tax planning, how you can be compliant. So I'll be talking little bit of all of that in the next 20 minutes. And just to kind of give you a little bit background about me, my name is Aradhana Aggarwal. I am a CPA, and I am the founder and CEO of Aradhana Aggarwal CPA PLLC. I have been a CPA for last 20 years. I have been featured on TV such as ABC 11, and I have conducted many webinars nationally and internationally. And we specialize in small to mid-sized businesses, their tax filing and tax planning. So with that being said, let's move on to what we should do, what we can do, what kind of entity structures should we have, and then what we can do to be more tax efficient. So just wanted to, I know a lot of women, you all I'm assuming that all of the women out there, they are in business. Since it says entrepreneur, so everybody is an entrepreneur. So I would talk a little bit about the business structure, because we do get a lot of questions about what kind of entity we should incorporate. So there are multiple types of entity, but not every entity is for everyone. So I'll just kind of, go into it a little bit. So one is the sole proprietorship, whether you do it through an LLC or just under your own social security number, where you get taxed on your personal income tax return, and there is no separate entity for that. And then the second version of that, you still incorporate the business as an LLC, but you choose it to be taxed as an S corp. And there are some compliances and all that, and I'll go into it a little bit. And then the third structure is the C corporation, which is a totally separate entity, not LLC, not an S corp. It has to be incorporated as a C corporation. So a little bit, because I can only talk in general, and everybody's situation is going to be very different. So don't take it as a tax advice to your specific situation. So just wanted to kind of put that disclaimer out. And then wanted to talk a little bit about LLC, the advantages and disadvantages, and a lot of things that we see people when they're not compliant when they use LLC. So what happens when you have a small business and you are wearing so many hats? You are the marketing person, you are the operation team. It's pretty much anything and everything that you're doing for your business. So you really never have time to look at the compliance side of things. So when you have an LLC, make sure, or when you have a business, make sure the business transactions are completely separated from your personal transactions. People sometimes don't realize, and then they mix both of those buckets. So their personal expenses, they go into their business expenses. Their business expenses are commingled with their personal expenses. That is not good. If there is an IRS audit and you can't separate those transactions, then the business is going to be in trouble. So always make sure, number one, you have a business bank account, very important. Second, all the business transactions, they should go through your business bank account, whether it's the income, whether it's the expense. And I get a lot of questions when people have LLC and they're like, oh, then how do I take my money out of that LLC? So if it's an LLC, it's all your money. The money is going to be taxed at your individual level. You can, anytime you can take the money out from your business account. On the accounting perspective, it would be categorized as business draw, just kind of, throwing a little bit of technical language, but you don't have to worry about it. But my whole point is that you can take that money out anytime. There are absolutely no restrictions on that. So just keep that in mind. That is your money. The only thing you want to make sure, if any personal expenses that you placed on the business bank account, you would categorize as an owner's draw and not as business expenses. So that is very important. Second thing, when you are making too much money on Schedule C, and when we say too much money, obviously, it is very subjective, but just give or take, I would say if you are making more than $60,000 to $70,000 net in income from your business, you should definitely look into the S corp election. And again, it's not that S corp election is going to be beneficial for everybody, but we can always look into your situation and then see if it would make you more tax efficient if you were to choose the S corp election. So, and there are some compliance issues. The biggest problem with S corp that we see, that it is mandatory for S corps to take a reasonable salary for the owner, and most businesses, they're not aware of it, and then they miss that. And if IRS finds that out, they can go back in time and they can charge the self-employment taxes on that, and obviously it comes with penalty and interest. So always make sure whenever when you try to select the entity structure, you talk to a professional to make sure that you are 100% compliant. The C corporation is a totally different structure, where the C corporation, it gets taxed as a separate entity, not on your individual tax return, but to keep in mind that it gets taxed twice, one at the corporate level and second when you get the dividend. So for most businesses that may or may not be a good choice, but again, we can always run those numbers and then see what would be the best business structure for you to make sure that you are taking the maximum advantage of the structure in order to gain the tax efficiencies on your personal level and also at the business level. The some other things is they come about deductions. We get a lot of questions about, okay, so what kind of deductions? So let's say if I'm in consulting business, I'm providing services, what kind of deductions we can take? So obviously there are, very common deductions that advertising, contract labor, wages, insurance, interest, professional fees, repair, supplies, travel. But in addition to that, so a lot of small businesses, they don't have a separate place, let's say, to conduct their businesses, and they are operating from home. So think of it that you can take deductions for the office use of your home, and you would have to come up with an exclusive space in your home and then calculate the square feet of that versus the square feet of the whole house. And then you can take that prorated deduction for all the expenses that you are paying for the house. So keep that in mind. For the car, same thing. If it's exclusively used for business, you can deduct 100% of the expenses. But let's say if it's a combination of business and personal use, then there are two methods to deduct. One is the mileage rate, and then you actually must keep records of the mileage, or you can take deductions of the actual expenses that are attributable to the business expense. So some other things that you can save money on are the retirement plans. And I see that because people they hear about the SAP IRA contributions and all that, they always think that the SAP IRA is the best choice to save taxes. But again, it may or may not, depending on what your circumstances are, how much income you're making. So there are many different choices in terms of retirement, and you do want to make sure that you explore all of that to make sure that you're getting the maximum benefit of it. Don't always get stuck onto SAP IRA, because it's just human tendency that we hear something and it gets stuck in our mind. And if just because somebody else used SAP IRA, we feel like, oh yeah, this is the best option, but it may or may not be. So just make sure that for your specific situation, you talk to a CPA or to a tax professional to make sure that they can guide you into the right direction and what kind of retirement plan would be best for you. Keeping in mind your tax situation, also your financial goals, short-term and long-term. Also, on Schedule C, I wanted to point out, and some of you may already know, that you pay an additional 15.3% self-employment taxes on whatever income you make. So let's say, sorry about that. So let's say hypothetically, sorry.
Hey there, I understand. We are going to edit this video once we are done and give you just a chance to breathe. Yeah. You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I think I can talk.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Sorry. So anytime you have a Schedule C income, you do want to remember that you are paying additional 15.3% in self-employment taxes on the top of your regular income tax. So let's say hypothetically you are in 20% tax bracket. So you are paying 20% plus you are paying that 15.3%. So always make sure that you talk to someone, and we can definitely help you for tax planning, that you don't end up paying a whole lot in that self-employment tax, which is kind of a flat 15.3%. So always some other areas of tax deductions, and you may have already heard about those electric vehicles like Tesla and all that. Solar project tax credit, which has been extended for another 10 years. And it has been raised from 26% credit to 30% credit. But make sure there are some requirements, especially for electric vehicle. If anything you buy after August 16th, 2022, all the parts, the final assembly, it has to take place in US. So just make sure that when you are talking to the dealers and all that, you make sure that, you talk about it, because if it's not assembled in the US, you will lose the deductions. The second part is, if you are making, let's say, like significant amount, you start losing the credits that you get, they start phasing out. So you do want to make sure that you plan ahead of time to make sure that you can take advantage of those credits and you can keep your tax brackets at the lowest. Obviously, you will have to pay some taxes, but we can definitely help you to make sure that you are not, we can do your tax planning proactively. Also, you should be paying quarterly taxes, quarterly estimated taxes. That's what we see a lot, that folks don't realize that they are supposed to be paying quarterly taxes if they're in business, because on your W-2 income, the employer is deducting those taxes and submitting it to the IRS and to the state. But when you are a business owner, then it's the responsibility is on you to make sure that you are paying quarterly taxes. Few more things that we have seen that people sometimes, and as Pamela was talking, good points about properties, buying, selling, making money, flipping, and all that. What we have seen on the tax side, is people do all these transactions, but because they're not aware of the tax implications, they end up paying a whole lot of taxes. So I would always recommend that before you make any big decision, whether it be selling your investment property, buying anything big, selling if you have any stocks, if you have cryptocurrency, anything. And just to give you an example, I had a client. So when crypto prices, that kind of, they went crazy, he made about $7 million on selling cryptocurrency. And after he sold, then he realized what the tax implications were going to be. He reached out to us. So make sure when you do that, reach out to us before you actually do it, because we can implement so many tax strategies to make sure that you don't end up paying a whole lot of taxes. So always it's very important to work proactively. So anytime, so I would say the thumb rule is that, rule of thumb is that anytime you feel like, oh, now I'm thinking about taking this business decision, whether it's buying the house, is buying the second primary house, or is buying the investment property, selling the investment property, getting married, donating a huge chunk of money, anything, any big thing you do, you just always keep that in the back of the mind that I need to talk to a tax person, because you don't want those surprises when you file taxes. We go through these things all the time, and I cannot tell you, how shocking the numbers can be when you don't, when you are not proactive in tax planning. So always make sure that any big decision you take, talk to a tax advisor. And as I said, that we have a special niche in tax planning for small to mid-sized businesses and high income net worth clients, and also anything big that is going on in your life, we can always consult on those, and then kind of give you the right path, so that you don't end up in a situation where you get surprised when you see the tax bill. Other thing that I wanted to, sometimes, and people, a lot of you probably would know the standard deductions and itemized deductions and the difference in that. I would not go into the technical side of it, but just to kind of tell you to take advantage of it, club those deductions. So instead of doing it every year, so let's say you donate, right? And you have a goal that I am going to donate whatever percentage of my income. Try to club that in maybe an alternate year, so that your deductions are so high so that they exceed the standard deductions, and you can take advantage of it. If you have some big medical expenses coming in, try to plan it out so that you can take advantages of the tax deductions on that. So always make sure that, because we just like, anytime we have to donate or any expenses, any real estate taxes, if you can possibly try to pay for 2 years in one lump sum amount. So that way, if the lender allows for it, or if your county allows for it, so that way you can take benefit of that deduction also in your tax return. Another thing, which I hope that it never happens, but if you ever get audited, don't worry about it, because I mean, whenever we get a letter from IRS, it's always frightening. And for anybody, even for us, when we see it, it's like, oh my God, what do they need now? So, but anytime that happens, don't worry about it, because it's not that IRS is, there are live representatives and they are looking at your return. So they have a system called DIF, it's discriminant information function. And basically what it does is measuring the risk of your return where the income is underreported, and it's comparing your return to other returns in your industry, is comparing your return to your prior returns. And they have their own benchmarks. Obviously they have their own algorithms, and they don't declare it, they're not public, but given our experience for so many years, we can see what that consistency should be and all that. So if you ever get anything, we have 100% success rate in IRS representations. We have dealt with the cases where IRS is asking even few $1 million in past taxes and penalties and all that, and we were able to bring that back to zero. So anytime you get that letter from IRS, don't you ever worry. We will take a look. We are happy to take a look to see what can be done on that. But anytime you get the letter, is not always a bad thing, because if there is a problem, there is always a solution to that. And some of the expenses, for example, business meal expenses, so you may or may not know, but it was 100% allowable until 2022. For 21 and 22, because of the COVID, and IRS was trying to encourage the restaurant businesses because they were shut down. So during that time, if you ordered food from a restaurant, it was 100% deductible. Going forward from 2023 and onwards, it's going to be only 50% deductible. So sometimes when we eat out with our business alliances or anybody, we think that it's 100% deductible. Keep in mind that it's only going to be 50% deductible. So those expenses, and also, I can go on and on, but what kind of meals are deductible and all that, that's another thing. So just because you need lunch during your business hours, that's not going to be deductible. So you do want to make sure that it's because, you have a client meeting or the clients are coming, or it's for the employees and all that. For your regular meals expenses and all that, those are not deductible. One more question that I would kind of focus on is contractor versus employee. People think that is their choice and they can hire anybody as a contractor or as an employee, which is not correct, because the rules are determined by IRS, and there are certain criteria that you would have to, and there are certain 3 tasks that you would have to go through to make sure whether that employee should be, whether that person, the potential hire, should be an employee, or that person should be a contractor. So it really depends on the type of work they do, the hours they spend, how much control you have on those hours and the work as an employer, what kind of relationship you have. So there are certain criteria. So when people think, because we get a lot of questions, I'm just going to hire this person as 1099. It's not your choice. It should not be your choice. You have to meet those tests, because IRS doesn't like when you hire people as a contractor, because they want them to pay taxes upfront as for FICA taxes. And that's where IRS, if they come back and you hire somebody as a contractor, but they should have been classified as an employee, So they will come back, then they will classify, they'll go back to the date whenever you hired them. You will be paying penalty, you'll be paying taxes, you'll be paying interest. So always make sure that you are compliant on that side. Again, business expenses versus personal expenses. Some expenses that can be a business expenses for one industry may not be a business expenses for another. For example, if there are some beauty items, or if you have to wear certain clothes or anything, for example, let's say in medical profession, if you have to wear those gowns, doctors gowns and all that, they are deductible, but because that is required for that profession. But if I say, oh, just because I'm a CPA and I need to dress up to see my clients and all that, and I would like to deduct those expensive clothes, that's not deductible. But by the same token, if I am in entertainment industry and it's important for me to have those nice clothes because I'm going for modeling or something, and that's the reason that I'm buying those clothes for, they may be deductible. So always, we don't want you to miss any deductions. So anytime you have any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. And, I'm on Facebook, obviously, and I can drop the link to our website. And we have a 15-minute complimentary meeting also. So you can always schedule an appointment, and any questions you have, I'll be very happy to answer those questions. Haley, do you want me to take any questions, or do you want me to talk a little bit more about some other things I can talk about?
Just go ahead and tell people how to book a call with you and how to get in touch with you.
Sure. So there is a website, www.aradhanaagarwalcpa.com. So you can get in touch through the website. We are on Facebook. Even if you Google search Aradhana Aggarwal CPA, it should give you the link. And we are also on Instagram. Again, and on Facebook and also on our website, there should be a link for our Calendly. So you should be able to book a complimentary 15-minute appointment anytime on that. So I would highly encourage, anytime you have any questions, anytime you need tax planning, we do tax filings too. So this is kind of the busy season for us. But if any of you do need tax filing, definitely, this is a service that we provide in addition to tax planning. So it can be just either tax planning, it can be tax filing, it can be both. And we also offer the accounting and bookkeeping service. So that way, you will have access to us throughout the year, and we'll work with you. And as you grow, we'll kind of do hand holding with you to make sure that as you're growing, we are keeping you compliant, and at the same time, we are making you tax efficient.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much for doing this talk today. I know that there are a lot of people out there searching for a good and, competent CPA. And, it is a need that almost every single business owner has. So y'all check out Aradhana. She is amazing. And, y'all do a great job here locally. So love y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's
give Aradhana a round of applause, and let's say thank you to all of our speakers who took time out of their day to speak here on today's WEN Talk. I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate those of you who have been watching today and who have been commenting. We really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. I hope that you'll check us out on YouTube under Women's Entrepreneur Network and subscribe, and you'll get to see all of the replays on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you so much, Aradhana. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who's been a speaker here today. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.